Start our work session. Terry Baker's up with the Convention and Visitors Bureau budget.
Good evening, Council. You have in front of you a copy of our draft budget for fiscal year 26. This is pretty similar to what you received in a spreadsheet, I believe, that Doug was collecting early on. And it is pretty similar to what we did in previous years. We don't expect certain things to change other than expenses. We don't expect our income to change at this point, looking at the trends of tourism. But this was designed to give you a kind of an idea of how we're sort of ranking in the state and how things are going. Our data that we have here is at the bottom of the first page is from fiscal year calendar year 24. We received that information in the fall of 25. Everything is always like behind like that as they do the research, but this has to do with, yes, that one. This has to do with visitor spending in our county. We continue to see a small amount of growth, which is good because some of the counties around us actually had dramatic drops in visitor spending.
Like where? Like where?
Like Henry County and Des Moines County had dramatic drops. So we're, so we were sort of keeping an even keel.
Do you know how Washington County did by any chance?
I do not, but I can find out. And that impact, of course, it's affecting food, it's affecting lodging, it's affecting travel and transportation, retail spending, all those kind of things are included in that data. We won't have effects from calendar year 25 until this fall, so everything feels a little bit skewed, but we use that to base what we're doing from year to year. On the back of that page, you will see the breakdown of our budget. Again, this is pretty much the same projected budget that we had in this current fiscal year. We do have some of the expenses have adjusted a little bit. We have brought in a part-time staff person who spends her time putting events on our calendar to make sure that that stays very, very current, and also making sure that our visitors guides get sent out to prospective visitors. And we're not talking about just leisure visitors, but also to people who are traveling for business, people who are coming to the hospital, for example. So we have a range of people that we're targeting with that. Below, because we spend so much of our staff time trying to accomplish things that if we had a bigger budget, we would just hire people to do. I put down here a breakdown of how our staff is spending their time. And you can see it's a lot of time is spent in the marketing, as well as that visitor experience, creating restaurant guides, creating itineraries, and doing all the social media, all those kind of things is where the staff is spending their time. So that's the breakdown of the budget. And then tonight, I thought what I would do is give you a little glimpse at our marketing strategy that we're adopting for this coming year. This will give you some idea of what we're doing. Our main goal is to protect Fairfield's brand and reputation and to make sure that other individuals see that brand and are enticed and interested in that brand enough to make a visit. We know that we are not a community that has theme parks and big water parks and big giant amenities like that. We are a smaller community, but we have a lot to offer, and it actually happens to be trending what people are liking these days because they just want to get out of the rat race of big cities. They want to do something that's small, but they don't want to totally give up their foodie experiences or totally give up their other experiences. So we're kind of basing a lot of our marketing on that. We have a marketing firm that we work with out of Austin, Texas. They are doing a lot of background research for us and testing a lot of our marketing to see where it's landing and where it's hitting, so then we can adjust. So if we're not getting the numbers that we want, then we shift things a little bit. We try some different messaging.
How did you find this firm in Austin?
I actually found them through an organization that we belong to. So it's a statewide organization of DMOs that work together.
DMOs? Direct?
Destination Marketing Organizations.
Thank you.
Which is another word for a CVB.
That's it.
We have lots of those little in acronyms here. So, so we met up with them through that experience, and so far they have been extremely helpful. They are going to do a complete, well, I wouldn't say complete, but they're going to do an evaluation of our website and changing over our website so that when AI starts to pull information about Fairfield, it's coming from our website. So we know it's going to be accurate information because it's going to pull from the information that we're putting out. So this is a kind of a new thing that people are doing. It's sort of an SEO kind of thing, but it's more geared towards generative engine optimization. So that's a project we're working on. We're also kind of looking at, how can we know that we have visitation that comes in on Monday night. We know that's not going to be leisure travel. We know that's probably business travel, somebody coming as a consultant or to visit one of our businesses. So how do we extend their stay, make their stay more meaningful? One of the things that's really helped has been our restaurant guide. We can't seem to keep the American stocked enough with those. So we're trying just some different things there to make sure that people know what else is in town. They don't just have to stay there and order DoorDash.
That's good. I mean, the American, you can't keep it stocked with the
restaurant
booklet.
guides.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's a good sign, I think.
So I'm just going to touch on the highlights. If you see something you want me to talk about, that's great. We also want to make sure people know that there's more, that we're not just a one-trick pony, right? So we might be the small rural town, but we're different and we're unique. We're going to be different from Amana. We're going to be different from Villages of Van Buren. We're going to be different from the other small communities that are in Iowa, and we want to emphasize that uniqueness and get people intrigued by what we have to offer. We do have, for example, we have an article coming out in Travel, Taste, and Tour magazine that'll be coming out in April, features Fairfield and kind of it's worth the road trip. We also have a feature coming out, I believe in March, that's going to be an insert in the Chicago Tribune, talking about Fairfield as being a road trip from Chicago, and it will also be placed, the same thing will be placed in the Chicago edition of the Wall Street Journal. So, and that also reads digitally, and they have landing pages and things like that. So we can start tracking more numbers and seeing what we're getting from that. Chicago area tends to be one of the areas that we look at when we're trying to attract people into Fairfield. It's not the only area, but it is one of the larger metropolitan areas. And of course, we're always looking for attracting people from the state itself. I do have to say that we've been seeing an increase in that out-of-state visitation, and we want to keep that going because that means that there's an extended stay if they're coming from out of state.
How are we in terms of people having places to stay when they come here?
How are we in terms of that? Mm-hmm. We're challenged. Mm-hmm. We're definitely challenged. I think in my report, in my annual report that I presented last September, we talked about the fact that our Airbnbs are picking up a lot of that extra stay. So we haven't been completely depleted in terms of the number of people staying overnight. However, what I am seeing is our overnight stays, I don't have the numbers in my head, sorry. Our overnight stays here where our day trips were here, that is now flipped. So we're seeing more people just coming for the day. We're seeing people, a consultant, for example, landing in Des Moines, driving to Fairfield, do his meetings, go back to Des Moines and get a hotel there. Or go to Ottumwa and get a hotel there. I have a very large group of individuals coming for a tour. Most of them will come for day tours, but some will look for overnight. I'm having to send them to Ottumwa because it's the same week as our fair. And our hotels are full because of the fair being here. So that's hurting us. It's definitely hurting us. And that's why we know we're not going to see that growth in that hotel motel tax.
Excuse me, what fair?
The county fair, Jefferson County Fair.
Okay, that fair, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, hotels.
Yeah.
Be nice.
The hotel, still working on that.
Yeah.
So we've got a nice little plan happening, and hopefully we're gonna see some movement on that. Never fast enough in my book, but it's, it is what it is. So that's basically what sort of a brief overview of kind of what we're doing, where the budget sort of lands. We do finalize our budget in May after we look at a little more extensive time of seeing how the funds are coming in, how the hotel motel tax is doing. around the state, tourism is slowly declining. It is doing that across the country. So we're not going to be any different animal in that respect. It means that we're competing with more of the other towns in Iowa for that traveler. So it means we have to be in the right places and showing off the right things.
When you say slowly declining, over what period of time?
Over what period of time? I would say in the last 12 months.
Any conjecture as to why?
I think the economy has affected a lot of people.
Any particular reason as far as Iowa is concerned? Anything different?
No, I don't. I think it's pretty much the same that's happening almost everywhere. So unless you have a place that traditionally attracts large numbers of people, Yellowstone National Park, Disney World, those kind of places, they're going to be able to sort of maintain a certain baseline most of the time, because that's what people think of if I want to get away. What's going to happen is that more and more people are not going to be able to afford those types of visits and those types of things. So they're going to drop down into like, okay, well, maybe we can just get a road trip. Let's go get a room in some little town and rekindle our romance and go out for dinner. Or let's take the kids somewhere where it's more budget friendly. So we're looking at creating content that targets those particular audiences, which we've been doing for the last few years. It doesn't really change much of our tactic. It's just sort of doubling down on that. Anything else?
Any other questions, Council?
Just an appreciation. I really appreciate your work, Terry. It's
Thank you so
high
much.
quality and very targeted, and I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. We try to make it happen.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Same
Thanks.
here.
Thank you very much, Terry. Next is Rachel Hillier with Grow Fairfield and our Community Engagement Workshop.
Evening, Council. I sent some information about the community engagement section of the Rural Housing Initiative that we got a grant for. The ISU students came down a couple weeks ago, did a tour, have selected different parts of the city, and you know this has to do with aging housing. We've already kind of started on a development for new homes, and we're looking at hopefully getting a large rental community. And the next kind of target would be, what are we gonna do about aging housing in Fairfield? And so ISU students, as you heard this before, architecture students, landscape architects, those kinds of students are spending about 6 hours a week on our project. One of the things that they're doing is they're coming down on March 6th, and it's part of their community engagement portion. And this is all part of their class too. They want to learn about how to engage as future architects, professionals in a community, and how to basically get the best feedback possible. One of the things that I mentioned to them that would be your ideal target community would be council members, because you know your wards, you know your residents that vote for you, you know what they're concerned about. And the other reason that this is really important for the council to try to get some time to go and interact with the ISU students is because this is going to be a pilot project. They're going to make a booklet out of this, like our first housing study, and they're using us as a pilot. And so everything that we do as a community is going to be documented and used as an example for other surrounding communities.
I'll just interject here. Rachel's right. You know, we did such a good job with Rural Housing 1.0 that we've been designated the very first grantee of this Rural Housing 2.0 initiative, because we did so well. And they're going to use us. We're sort of maybe the cutting edge, the bleeding edge, the guinea pig.
Pilot project.
That's right. That sounds best. So we
Doesn't squeal as much.
So we're going to be, so it's really an opportunity for Fairfield again to shine as we did with 1.0. That's why they chose us. And I had an opportunity to meet some of these students, very bright, very enthusiastic, and it's nice to have this fresh energy, these new ideas coming from students who are in class, who are studying this field right now. We get the latest thinking, and they want to do well because they're being graded on it, right? So it's really an opportunity for us as it is for the students.
Yeah, and there are all these fresh eyes looking at our community. We might be kind of driving by and forgetting what we're really looking at.
Yep.
And so they're really going to give us a deep down. They're doing a lot of data gathering and all kinds of things about what is going on here, and they're going to come up with a lot of solutions. There's 6 groups of students. They're going to create a booklet as part of their course evaluations. Then the professors are going to take those and make them into a pattern book just for Fairfield. And then the Extension Office and state are going to create the pilot project, which will be the next rural housing study 2.0. And so it's kind of in 3 parts. Then the other part of the money that we got the grant for, because we have a matching, is for demolition and site planning, which also will be trying to create policy and procedures and also targeted incentives based on this pattern book and the study, so that when we are going to target improvements in aging housing, we'll have, a nice set of rules that we can follow.
I mean, this is one of the 3 angles we're taking, at least in terms of housing. There's new housing with the Sunrise development, Sunrise Trail Division, and there's also Kading, which is ownership, people buying homes, but also there's Kading Properties, we're going to be building a number of rentals. We talked about that at the last council meeting, and then of course this is rehabilitating older homes. Mm-hmm. So I know we had a goal-setting session a couple of years ago, council, and we identified, I think most of us identified housing as a top priority. So we're attacking it from several different angles. I think that means positive things for Fairfield.
Yeah, and the housing study, diverse housing, needs. So we're trying to basically work together on diverse housing.
So March 6th.
Yes.
What's happening on March 6th again?
March 6th at the Extension office in the Cambridge building. The students are going to set up, and I think they have 6 groups, and they're from different regions in the city that they're kind of, that they've basically chosen. And then they're going to do interactive activities with community members. So it's open to everybody. You can select a time anywhere between 2 and 5. So does that say in there? I can't read that.
It does. It says 4 sessions.
2 o'clock,
Yeah.
3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. So you can come at any one of those times. You don't have to go for the whole time. You just show up at one of those times, and the students will have something ready to present, and they'll have activities, and they're going to gather feedback.
And they especially are inviting members of the city council.
Right,
and
because
mayor.
when you go there, I think Paul has a kind of a zone map of where they're looking.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at which group you might want to join based on that zone map.
So there are 6, the groups of 6 they've assigned to how many different zones? Is it 5?
6, there's 6 zones, 6
6
groups.
zones.
And so they basically selected the zones based on Jefferson County assessors data.
Right.
But we don't have like one area of Fairfield that has old aging housing and housing that needs to be rehabilitated. It's all over the.
You remember in Rural Housing 1.0, we identified something in excess of 400 homes that were to the point where they could be rehabilitated, and many of them even demolished. So this is a way to perhaps rehabilitate and save some of those homes. And with these students paying attention,
it's a way to basically kind of target. If you're, let's say, you want to go remodel houses, and that's your business. The pattern book will help you kind of identify what parts of the rehabilitation you should basically tackle, which ones are the most beneficial. So it's gonna be a great tool for realtors, be a great tool for developers, be a really good tool for homeowners, and also for the city when they want to develop any kind of incentive.
And the public is invited for that, of course.
Yes, the public is open to the public.
And how do people sign up? They get a hold of you, or?
They don't need to sign up. You just can go.
Go.
They're
on the
pretty
hour.
open. The school's like, okay, everyone.
Fairgrounds, Jefferson County Extension.
Jefferson County comes, yeah, at the fairgrounds right across from Walmart in the Cambridge building, which is, I think, the biggest one.
Yeah. Well, do that.
Great.
Any
Awesome.
questions?
Yeah. No. Do we have any questions? We hope there's a good turnout. So.
Well, I hope to see you all there. Yeah. I'll get you all a gold star, okay?
Is there going to be anything in the newspaper about that?
Yeah.
Have you contacted Andy? In
Yes.
other words.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
All right,
Good,
thanks.
thank you. All righty, so we have a few minutes before we go to our council meeting, so we'll adjourn. Oh, unless any council, does anybody have any other comments? Okay, so we'll adjourn the work session until 7 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Rowe.
Here.
Thompson.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Esty.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Council, are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of the February 9th, 2026 council meeting. Approval of February 13th, 2026 payroll in the amount of $158,495.92. Shouldn't that be the 23rd?
No. February 13th was the payroll date, I believe.
Oh, payroll. Yeah, never mind. Acceptance of the Economic Development Committee minutes, acceptance of the Fairfield Public Art Committee minutes, consent of a noise exemption, a park use permit for No King's Day, resolution approving tobacco permit, approval of liquor license for Hawkeye Smoke Shop 2.0 and Aranda's Mexican Restaurant, approval of ACH payment to Iowa Department of Revenue in the amount of $4,483.65, approval of total claims in the amount of $397,918.71. We had 3 claims over $75,000. Alliant Energy, $86,838.60. EBS, which are our insurance premiums, $76,256.55. And Waste Management Corporation, $82,725. I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Esty, second by Gandy.
I have one question. I have the same total for total claims, but I have 90 cents at the end of Waste Management. So I don't know if that matters or not.
You have the sheet there?
Yeah, 825,
It
725.
must be a typo.
90.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for
Yep.
bringing that to the attention. Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
I did review the claims and they all were in order.
Okay, great. No other questions? Please call the roll.
Esty.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes, although I'll abstain from the approval of the minutes of the February 9th meeting.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, we will move on. We don't have any public forum or appearances today. So we'll move on to resolution, action items, and ordinances. The first action item is consideration of a flagpole replacement at the Municipal Airport, and Bob Lyons looks like he's come to the podium to speak about that.
Yes, I'm just asking approval for a new flagpole, a larger one that will be donated to the airport memory of Tom Thompson. So I'm asking approval for that tonight.
Sounds nice. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Toohill, second by Esty. Any other discussions? Questions? Please call the roll.
Toohill.
Yes.
Esty.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Thank you, that was approved unanimously. The next action item is consideration of design agreement for the airport entryway road and parking lot.
So our next project at the airport is for paving the entryway road and the parking lot. It is desperately needed, and it'll be nice to not do a project that is in the airspace. That just makes everything a lot easier. But however, this project does have 95% federal funding. And so the agreement in front of you tonight is for design services and bid services from Crawford Murphy Tilley CMT. The engineering request is for not to exceed amount of $86,500. So at 95% funding, our portion is $4,325.
That seems like a pretty good deal. Move to approve?
Okay, second by Ferguson, moved by Gandy. Any questions?
So this is just the design agreement, though?
Correct.
Okay.
So the construction, the estimated construction amount is a little over $700,000.
Okay.
And so our match for the construction is in the proposed budget for next fiscal year.
Okay.
FAA works on federal fiscal years, and so they'll want to get the construction in, or most of the construction money spent before October. And so we might be a little bit within this fiscal year, but a majority of the construction funds will be in next fiscal year.
So the federal funding is for the design as well as the construction. Okay.
Great.
I think, Bob, you mentioned too, is the airport or the parking lot original to the airport?
So
Yeah.
it's original.
Yeah. So this is well
We just
needed.
patched it over the years.
Yeah.
How old
We're
is
meant
it?
to get an infrastructure grant for that, under the infrastructure bill.
Yep.
Original,
We got this money's come, most of this money's come.
original from when? How old is it?
A few years,
A few, okay.
yeah, a couple years. This one we actually got notice that we were gonna receive that.
I mean, how old is you said it's original?
1967.
I see.
It's been around a while.
Yeah, we got notification a few years ago on this grant.
Tom asked if we could start charging for people to park out there, and I said, well, no, but we won't have to keep paying for repairs to people's cars, so.
Can't we put those old parking meters out there?
Yeah, but getting someone to go out there and check it, that's the hard part.
Okay, so we do have a first and a second.
Thank you.
There's no further comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Gandy.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Esty.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Thank you, that was approved unanimously. The next action item is to set a public hearing for nuisance abatement schedule of assessments for Monday, March 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Move to set the public hearing for the nuisance abatement schedule of assessments to
Okay.
Monday, March 23rd at 7.
Moved by Esty,
Second.
second by Toohill. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Esty.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Thank you, approved unanimously. Next action item, again, is to set a public hearing for stop box and curb stop repair, schedule of assessments, again for Monday, March 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Moved by Ferguson.
Second.
Second by Gandy. Any discussion?
Is there a different charge for? No, never mind. No, I don't.
Okay.
Had to think that through for a second.
Yeah, okay, I understand. Go ahead and call the roll.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Esty.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That was approved unanimously to set the public hearing. Again, those two items for nuisance abatement schedule and stop box and curb stop repair for March 23rd. Next is a resolution, consideration to authorize Washington County Riverboat grant application on behalf of the city of Fairfield. This application is due March 15th. Go ahead, Mel.
Which number is this?
4 or 5.
Yeah.
We were asked to submit this time.
Ooh.
So,
Who asked?
it was,
The mayor.
no. It was Senator Dickey after a conversation with the board president.
Right.
So, I'm gonna stay out of the rest of that. So where we're standing, the cost that is in front of you, that has been submitted to Washington County, previously, the numbers above change order number 1, are the bid numbers, with an additional contingency included in there. So I had an email conversation with the mayor, that said, you know, around 245,000 will close our last funding gap without any contingency. But since this number includes a little bit of contingency, it shows that we're short. Long story short is that the 250,000 will put us very close to finishing the funding, depending on how many change orders we have left with the project. So. And so what is included above is the change orders to date, including the large change order number 1 for the additional removal of the school foundation, And I will definitely include that narrative in the grant application. So the proposal is to request for $250,000 specifically for the training tower portion of the fire station.
Great.
So like the portion that would be utilized potentially
By
by Washington
counties.
County and
Yeah.
other counties,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well,
And we can put a nice plaque on the side of it.
Whatever they
Who
want.
doesn't love a plaque?
Yep.
I would move to approve the resolution authorizing this application on behalf of the city of Fairfield.
Okay, moved by Esty,
Second.
second by Toohill. Any further discussion points or questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Esty?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
Great, thank you. That was approved unanimously. Next resolution is a consideration of tax abatement application for 401 West Stone, which is the Huffman property.
Move to approve.
Moved by Gandy,
Second?
second by Ferguson. Any questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gandy?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Great, that was approved unanimously for the tax abatement application for 401 West Stone. And next is a first reading of an ordinance, consideration of establishing mulch loading fees. Go ahead, Mel.
So before opening the public hearing and proceeding with explaining the ordinance, I want to point out on the draft resolution on the second page, one interesting thing I guess we found out last week is on Exhibit A, you'll see that the proposed prices state plus tax. To the best of our knowledge, we believe that mulch is taxable because it is considered a good rather than a service, which is mostly what the city provides. The city does collect tax on other items, and so we are familiar with the process of the paperwork, but we do want to discuss the implications of this with our auditing firm before the third reading of this ordinance. I think, again, we just kind of discovered this on Friday as we were preparing it. If council wanted to table if this was kind of a game changer for anyone, I wanted to bring it up before I bothered going through the ordinance itself. So I wanted to point that out to everyone. Otherwise, I'll go through the ordinance and what's being proposed.
So what's the increase with the tax?
It's 7%. So
Yeah. So it's not a huge thing.
Would it be easier to do tax included and have the same rate if people are paying with cash so we don't have change issues? And
I'm gonna let Rebecca answer.
I think part of our issue, maybe I have to find a new tax number, because we have water sales tax and we have park and rec tax and we have different taxes that we have, and I might have to come up with just a new permit number for this one. So that just might be the.
but I mean,
handful that
like
you-
for a half load, could we make a half load, 1187 or whatever it would be, plus tax would come to
tax
1250?
Just to make it an even.
Yeah, and make it an even for
Yeah,
people with
that-
cash
that makes a
that are
lot more
cash paying
sense to me-
customers.
to me than-
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Yeah.
The resolution is not approved until your third reading,
Yeah.
Okay.
so we can definitely make that change before then. So on the ordinance itself, a couple things to point out. Even though we just completed Chapter 7.04, there's a few cleanup items already to address here. In Section 1, where we have the addition, 7.04140 discusses the municipal landscaping yard waste disposal site. So we added number 5 that discusses the yard waste tickets that we already have, and then added in number 6 that talks about the wood chips or the mulch. And so again, number 5 is already something that we do. This is just adding it to this section to clarifying, keeping it all in one place. Then in 7.04.250, that's the section related to fees. So on letter E, changing the yard waste drop-off tickets to as set by resolution. And then in section 3 under F, showing that the wood chips are going to be by resolution. So at the time of passing this originally, we had the yard waste tickets included in the ordinance. And so again, cleaning that up so they're both set by resolution. And then G, the waste management yard waste stickers, we didn't have that in our code, any prices related to that at all. So again, it's something we already do, adding it in here for clarification.
Is that where you can just put it on the bag and they pick up the bag?
Yep, yep. And so by, again, establishing it by resolution, it will be on our fee schedule. We're keeping all the fees in one place. I don't want it easier to change, or we can make a change as needed through one reading. And then lastly, section 4, removing that paragraph just because it's going to be added in paragraph 1. I felt like it was a better place to put it up there than in what's listed in section 4. So that's again, not a lot of actual change, just adding the wood chips. The rest are some clarifying points with that section of the code.
So with that, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody that wants to speak to this particular ordinance? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. And council?
I still just don't like it. I mean, I know that it wasn't intentionally like this, but it still kind of seems like a bait and switch. Since we just established all of those fees for people disposing of their yard waste, which was supposed to offset the cost of the mulching. That's all I'll say.
Well, you know, I mean, you could take no action. That's obviously an option. So, yeah.
We're not creating a profit center out of it, though. I mean, we're not making money off of this at all. So it's not a money grab type thing or anything like that at all.
No.
So.
No, I don't think that there's anything untoward.
Yeah.
It's just that it seems like we just addressed this issue.
Yeah.
And maybe we didn't fully address it, but at the time it was like, we have so much mulch, we don't know what to do with it. We'll be giving it away for the rest of our lives, basically. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, the mulch. Anyway.
So is there a motion to approve?
Is this costing us money?
Does it cost us money to run the site?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we need money. Yeah. I vote to move this to the second hearing. I mean, I make a motion to move this ordinance to the second reading.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to move this ordinance from the first to the second reading. Discussion. Any further discussion?
I recognize Councilwoman Estes' concern, but I think it was a situation where perhaps the matter wasn't fully addressed her last time around. So I think this is, in this case, I feel like it's appropriate.
Other than changing the cost so that it includes tax, and then we will also clarify with the auditing firm, is there anything else that you need from us to, I guess, continue the discussion? I mean, I know those are the two action items that I know I have, but before you moved forward, I wanted to double check.
And I think the purpose is you recognizing that it takes a street crew person to go down there with the loader if you're going to back up a pickup, right?
And I think it's more the cost of the grinding. I believe the loading is happening at the same time as the drop off. And so yes, there is the use of the loader, but the personnel cost is being recognized with the mulch or with the drop off tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's two things going on. We're charging to pick up the mulch.
We are charging to drop off during certain days, and a citizen was asking about this. and we still have the pickup times throughout the year. And so the analogy I gave was, well, for me, I don't mind that I have a pile of brush at my house for the 2 months between pickups, but my grandfather, it would drive him absolutely insane, and he would be the one that's bringing his half a pickup load. So it depends on a person, whether it's their yard or whether it's their personality or it's they have an event going on, So we do offer a free resolution to people dropping stuff off. As far as the mulch, again, it's paying for the grinding more than necessarily the person being there to load it up, because that person is already there.
But we also don't want people leaving it there 3 weeks on their curb, so they need to be paying attention
Right,
to our
and I should
drop-off
say, leaving
or
it in
our
your
pickup.
yard, like in your backyard,
Yeah,
and then bringing it out to the curb when it's pickup time.
yeah.
If you've got 2 more readings, I wonder if we could have Joe Hurd come back and talk a little more. I think he said something like it cost $12,000 or $14,000 just to grind the mulch.
Yes.
I don't know how often there's a grinder available, but it seems like that sort of necessitates this more than anything.
Yeah, it's once a year, and I can have him clarify it. I think in the past we ground everything, which is why we had more mulch than we knew what to do with. And so now it's balancing the cost of grinding versus how much mulch are we gonna give away, how much do people actually need. Because there's a cost to grinding, but there's a cost to disposal, and balancing those two items. Disposing of it without grinding is less expensive, but we know that people do want the mulch even if they pay some.
Yeah.
And we don't have as much to grind either, because we've kind of eliminated the commercial drop-off of the unwanted commercial drop-off of waste, so.
But yes, we can have it come to the next reading.
Yeah. Okay, so we do have a first and a second to move this second reading. So if there's no further comments, I will ask a roll call.
Gandy?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Okay, that was approved unanimously. Under the mayor's report, I have a couple of things. First off, I want to kind of circle back to the Washington Riverboat grant application. The grant applications are due March 15th. I would really encourage our Jefferson County nonprofits to utilize this opportunity, going forward. I think we have not applied enough. If you look at, what the different counties have received, there's a big difference, but I think part of that is our nonprofits don't know that they can apply. So I think we need to do a better job as a community to apply, because we know that people go up there to Washington to the casino, and encourage people to apply for your projects that you're doing here in Jefferson County. Okay, I have attended a couple of meetings as the city's representative, emergency management. We've gone over their budget and the conference board budget. At your station, I did put the budget for the conference board. Really, that's the assessor's office at the courthouse. They have their own budget, and it's, the millage has gone up a little bit. I think it's about 7 cents, unfortunately, but as far as the actual different expenses, they haven't changed a lot. Personnel costs have certainly gone up with their raise. So you have that. As far as emergency management, there's really hardly any change as far as what we're doing. I mean, we are purchasing some audiovisual equipment, but the per capita is still $2 per capita, and the $74,000 and change that we are raising through the levy has not changed. So that will stay the same. At some point, Brett may come and give you a more in-depth report, but overall, those are pretty much not a lot of change there, so I just wanted to share that information. And then it was brought to my attention that, there is discussion whether emergency management will come and move into the fire station. That I don't think is a final decision yet by emergency management. They currently have an office at the law center. And there's pros and cons either way to which location that they are set in. But apparently there is some discussion about a lease with emergency management that we might want to look at. And so I would like council, if you would move that for a discussion to the property committee, just to discuss that and have that discussion with Brett and, just kind of see where that would go. I know we've talked about not charging them, but probably having some kind of lease agreement would be appropriate. And anyway, just to get it out on the table and have discussion about it. So if someone would move that to the property committee, I'd appreciate it.
So moved. And that's the discussion with emergency management regarding a lease agreement.
Yeah. Moved by Esty.
Second.
Second by Gandy. Any discussion? Not. Everybody, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, that was approved. City attorney report.
Yeah, a few things. I was looking at the nuisance assessment. That's 3 or 4 pages of what we've got in our materials tonight. And that is what I call a seasonal automatic thing we do every spring. Am I not correct on that, Rebecca?
Correct.
But we also, during the course of the year, we have other nuisance assessments that we need to, for practical purposes, do through the courts. For instance, we tore down a house over on D Street, Mr. Napolio's house that was imploding on itself. That cost, I think the estimate was $14,000. It cost us about $18,000. Plus, there are also things having to do with the utilities and shut-off and other things that we have a separate bill with our utilities department. Right now, our utilities department is looking at a way to do that in small claims court. The bigger bill, we will eventually be selling a lot over there to try to recoup some of $18,000. But at this point, some of these nuisances that we routinely do every spring that are overdue lawn mowing bills are the tip of the iceberg. We have several houses in town that are going to look more like the one on South D Street by the time we're done, either with demolitions or makeovers and repairs. So I just mention that because there will be a time when probably I'm discussing with you some things that might result in district court lawsuits even to get that job done. A lady that came to us last winter, Sue Berkey, in December, she's been keeping me informed about the makeover that she wants to do up on North B Street with her son Luke. They are now at a point where she has indicated to me in emails in the last couple days that they are going to have a closing before the end of this week. So I will get a set of the paperwork on that. And we will be informing the court that we are working in a situation that the only thing we want to do for a few months now is compliance reviews and see how she and her son do on what they promised they could do. There's been a workout, I told you before, on the lien that was against the house that was in the way. So that thing's happening like we were told it would. It's that wonderful time of the year up in the legislature. It's called the funnel, and the Register had 6 pages of funnel report. I'm not going to drill you with 6 pages of every bill that's in the funnel, but there's a few in there that we should pay attention to. There are some that I know our board is paying attention to also, as far as legislation to eliminate vaccination requirements in the schools. I'm kind of bothered by that. One that we've talked about a couple times in the past and was raised by a couple citizens here has to do with what happens to people when their vehicles are towed, whether it's under snow ordinance or it's under street cleaner hours or uptown square after hours. The legislature now has a bill that survived that is going to limit what towers can go after as far as owners of cars, and may make quite a difference, because it's going to limit until the owner, lien holders, and anybody else that has any interest in the vehicle that is towed gets a formal notice and an opportunity to question it. It's only going to allow the tower to collect for one 24-hour period of storage and the tow, plus the vehicle. It used to be disposable under what I would call warehouseman lien type rules, and so the tower would keep it for a few days, sometimes weeks, run up a pretty good bill. Sometimes the bill was higher than the value of the car, and then they'd put it out to auction. The legislature is backing away from that, basically treating the cars as important to the owners. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, as far as maybe we look at something in our ordinance that allows impoundment of vehicles that would specify other than impounding that there might be other alternatives, such as during the snow notices on our snow ordinance, that vehicles that are in the path of the snow clearance, the preferred treatment of those vehicles would be to tow them around a corner instead of towing them out to storage at somebody else's lot and warehousing them. So anyway, that's coming down the pike. I'm going to try to keep track of what the legislature does with it, because the state law will preempt us. But if they don't do anything, I still want to talk to you about it. So other than that, there are about half a dozen different pieces of legislation that have to do with things on what we certify to every spring about things like DEI, which has been pretty much obliterated by the federal rules, federal executive orders, even though Congress hasn't repealed DEI, and things that have to do in our Constitution which haven't been repealed, as far as discrimination standards. They are still being banned as far as certain things that are civil rights protections for people in same-sex marriage, and some other pieces of legislation that are singularly political, I think, but they are out there. They've made it through the funnel, so they're going to be debated. And as far as our posture here, my advice to the council remains that none of this has been repealed by the people that count. The federal laws that restrict funding us, if we don't have policies that follow the, quote, federal laws, and the state laws follow the federal laws, everybody's following the executive orders right now, even though Congress hasn't repealed this stuff. Our 20 paragraphs of what we adhere to as far as policies are still the policies that we're bound by when we do a lengthy contract with somebody like USDA. I'm going to guess that the FAA contract, Melanie, probably has all of those policy requirements in it, even though it looks like politically a lot of people are saying, well, they don't count around here anymore because we're banning them in Iowa. It isn't quite that simple. So, like I say, I'm not going to run you through 6 pages of what didn't and did make it through the funnel, but we'll bring a few things back to you that we do have a way to reach with our ordinancing abilities and so forth. Other than that, there's one more thing coming up, and that is that out into the next month, the chief of police and I are going to have a sit down and talk publicly with the moderator about our local forces policies on use of force, our local forces policies as far as things we do if we are confronted with an opportunity or a request for assistance on things like immigration enforcement and so forth. We do have immigration interchange in this community that isn't necessarily with people with masks and people with clubs and guns. We have, in the last couple months, we've had some people that I refer to as people that come to town with ties on, and they're carrying paperwork and they're helping people with their citizenship and their visas. And that's what we anticipate will get worked on with the people in town that are immigration lawyers and that sort of thing. So want to talk to the community about some of that. I've been told there's a fairly good-sized group of questions about what we're going to do to handle that if it becomes a confrontational situation. I think the first thing we do is make clear that we have policies and that they don't need to be confrontational. And as far as I can see, the people in town that do immigration work and so forth are trying to keep things between the lines, and they know how it works and they know how the visas work. And as far as my posture on this, I believe most of the people in our community that are able to do something are doing it the legal way, and that we will take a look at any situation and determine, first of all, if there's a need for judicial involvement and a warrant. That's been our standard all along, and I think that will continue to be it. But anyway, we'll hopefully out there in mid-March when we have the sit-down, we'll have a good turnout. We'll talk about it, and we won't have anything confrontational in the meantime.
Great. Thank you, John. Committee and board reports, Ways and Means.
Ways and Means did meet probably a little over 5 hours this week on the budget. We got through it all. I guess first of all, I'd like to thank Melanie Carlson, Rebecca Loper, and Doug Reinert for doing a lot of the legwork ahead of time, putting it together. They did a phenomenal job this year. It was as smooth this year as it's been since I've been working with it. So I'd like to thank them for that. I'd like to thank the department heads for all showing up, giving representation, being available to answer questions. That helped out a lot, made everything go a lot easier. For the second year in a row now, we are presenting a balanced budget, which is great. Much easier to work with throughout the rest of the year. We have lowered the tax levy by just over 1% this year, which is another good news. And we are putting the rest of it together and just kind of finalizing everything, and we'll probably have it ready to present to council in the next couple meetings. So we have to have our max budget submitted to the state by March 5th. And after we get that submitted, we'll have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and we'll have it ready to show to council.
Great, thank you everyone for your hard work.
Also like to thank Paul and Terry for the work they did on the committee also.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, administrative and department reports. Melanie?
Just a few things to touch on. You'll see that Highway 1 is not on the front page. The final reimbursement was submitted in December, and so that project gets to go off of this finally. Crow Creek Bridge, that final reimbursement was submitted at the beginning of the month, so hopefully that will also be off of this project list here soon. We are still working with Alliant to install a new light at the end of the Parkview driveway. This was not included in the original easement negotiation. It should have been, since Parkview owned the previous light that was disturbed by the project. And so there may be a payment to Parkview or Alliant coming in the future once we get that taken care of. On the fire station, the unseasonable weather of the last couple months, few weeks, has been really good for that project. They are primarily working on framing of the office area and a lot of metal work, including the stairs and the fixtures on the training tower, and then framing of the mezzanine level. So no real interior concrete at this time. They will be bringing in plumbers and electricians to begin that interior work. And as I said, in December, now that the building's enclosed, it's going to look like nobody's doing anything for the next few months, because it's going to be interior work. Do hope to get had some problems with the time-lapse photography and the charging port for that, but we do hope to get that installed inside, so we can do some continue with the time-lapse video on that. We'll be working to submit the Washington County Foundation. A question I had for the council is Beautification had brought forward the AARP grant application. They do have a fairly large grant opportunity for disaster preparedness. It is a grant that I have watched in the past, but it kind of always comes to my attention about 3 days before the deadline. And so in past years, haven't been able to submit for the fire station to AARP. I didn't know if you wanted me to go ahead and bring that to council and submit it, or not compete with the beautification committee, since we've competed with them for Washington and all the other grants that we submit. Initial feeling from council on that? I mean, it's a national grant, so.
So it would be competing. Is there a chance that we would be moving out Beautification Commission from getting this grant and moving the city or some other department in? Is that the risk here?
It is. I guess I don't know. I don't know if if they look at it and say, oh, well, we have 2 applications from the same city, we're not going to look at one. Beautification their application is more geared towards healthy living and outdoor living, whereas ours is going to be specific to the emergency management side of the grant. So it would be 2 different goals of the grant. I guess I don't really know, but we tend to not have 2 applications go in at the same time. But again, it's a national grant. Maybe they don't even pay attention to that it's the same city.
I think the fire station is important enough. We should put it in, personally.
Yeah. And I'll continue to look at the grant. Maybe it's really, really hard and I won't be able to get it done in the next month anyway, but I'll look at it. And but it is several thousand, it's tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but it's tens of thousands of dollars available. So we'll look at it and bring it back, because there will be a council resolution on that. Fire station aside, Maine and Burlington has been in front of council a couple times over the last few meetings. The U-Step application was submitted to the district engineer last week. And then one of the next steps that we'll be doing is working to install complete traffic counts and pedestrian counts at Court and Burlington. After talking with Marcus from French Rent-A-Cur, we think that we want to get some more information, particularly on that intersection, before finalizing our recommendations. We're going to continue on the cost estimates and the options But before we finalize the recommendation, we want to complete that work. And then lastly, on the second to last page, or last page of my information, auxiliary dwelling units, one of the state laws that came last year. Staff, we had a good conversation with Allers last week. We've been getting a lot of questions from citizens since the first of the year. The law is not very specific. There's not a lot of guidance for us, but as one of the things Allers stated is that it's clear the intent of the law is that ADUs shall be allowed. I guess we're going to be working on working with Allers on some policies and procedures. Anyone who doesn't like the idea of ADUs needs to talk to somebody other than me. Talk to their state, because it's going to be allowed. And there are definitely positive sides of things, but not looking forward to receiving the calls from the neighbors in some of these situations. But we will be working on making sure that we are applying things equally across the different zones, and again, getting these procedures put together as quickly as possible. We know that people are anxious to get moving with this, and again, we're working with Allers on making sure that we're in compliance.
Just to be clear, they didn't, there's like no rules about zoning or setbacks.
Correct.
Or size of the yard, etc.
Yep.
If you got a postage stamp, you could put something back there.
Correct.
Got it.
And even the size of the ADU itself is pretty ambiguous, right? It's like 20%, not to, but it's like,
Yeah, it's so again, there are some rules with it,
yeah.
but Allers kind of says but then they have this the law has this blanket statement that says you can't treat an ADU different than a single family resident. And so kind of the way that is interpreted right now by legal staff is that if you would approve a single family residence in that district, you need to approve a residence. So,
Can we have rules that make sense, that would prevent, if people followed those rules, that would prevent kind of gross abuse of this, and then deal with if someone wants to fight over something that does not comport with that? My sense is that if we have rules, if I wanted to build one, I would want to say, okay, well, what's allowed?
yeah.
And so I think we may get quite a lot of voluntary compliance if we formulate those things that make sense, rather than just saying, well, the state said you can do it, so just do it.
Right.
That makes sense to me, to be proactive.
Yeah, and so that's where we're going to come back with some policies and procedures. I don't know if anyone, we call it our cheat sheet for fences, that shows people the setbacks for fences and where you have a 3-foot versus. I showed that to Allers and said, we could create something like this. We also have one for accessory buildings. We talked about creating something like that as kind of a guide, that, if this is how we would like to see them, and then if you don't meet these regulations, there's another section of the law that says you have to go to the Board of Adjustment, but the Board of Adjustment has to approve you. So, yeah. And
does the statute say that city regulations can be more restrictive?
No, or it says it very clearly says city regulations cannot be more restrictive.
Yeah, it's a ceiling.
Yeah.
So
but we can produce some guides.
Well,
as
it doesn't stop us from producing guides and having a public education campaign to help people be good neighbors, so that we can cooperate with each other, even though they may not have the force of law behind it. It will have the force of moral authority, and I think that will do some good, I think.
Yeah. I mean, one example is, 6 foot is recommended, the 6 foot spacing between accessory buildings such as a detached garage and a primary structure, that is in our code, but it's also in the fire code. Again, we're checking with Allers as to whether that, because it's in the fire code, it's going to apply here. Does the fire code go away because of this? Does this top it? But that would be something that we inform people that, well, yes, you can be closer than 6 foot, but the fire code recommends, a minimum of 6 foot in order to better fight the fire, to prevent the fire from spreading from one building to another. So again, guides versus regulations, and we're working with Allers on that. Again, we've had several citizens reach out over the last month, and we want to make sure that people know we are working on it. There's just not, it's just not a very clear law that's going to be really easy to implement right away.
Can HOAs and covenants supersede any of this or not?
That's a great question. I will ask that.
Okay.
I know in other instances they can,
Yeah.
But I'm not sure on this one. Because we do have we have had that situation come up with some detached garages. Okay. So, staying busy on lots of new state laws all around.
All right.
All right.
Mr. Renner, what do you have?
The last one.
Yeah.
I spent the last week amongst with the budget stuff, and we're all working together on budgets, but we're also leaving each other alone because it makes us cranky. So I took the opportunity to go around to all the departments, meet them on their turf, so that I can evaluate how we're doing business on a day-to-day operation and connecting with our staff. And they're performing exceptionally, and I appreciate they're always looking to make sure that their equipment is in good shape and they have what they need, and they ask for the things that we have to have, and those things are incorporated into those budget conversations, and I appreciate that very much. That again, circling back to the budget, we also need to plan the public budget conversation that we have at the convention center. That presentation, we have the department heads here to talk about the budget, but then we also have them there so that they can talk about their budget to the public. And that's kind of that transparency piece of what we're spending our money on. So there's a few questions that I would like to ask this council, and you can tell me now, you can tell me later, you can email me, what have you, that typically we have the presentation during the day in the morning, and there's been conversations that's planned to making sure that I have all the department heads here, and that there isn't overtime involved, and it's usually a good time we have to rent that facility. So if it's in the evening, sometimes that could sway the availability of that space. So it is on YouTube. People do watch them. I have been asked about it several times. Typically, we have it in March in the last several years, but we've been kind of pushed back because of the events that have happened over the winter. And so, again, we can still publish the budget anytime, and get it passed, but having that presentation, we can have it in April or May before it's produced, and then the citizens can ask not only the department heads but the council questions in regards to what we're spending our funds on. So it's something to consider over the next few weeks, and let me know so I can actually start making those phone calls and get that done. If you even want to have it, you don't have to.
I personally think it's a really good idea. More transparency. A number of years ago, we had a meeting, I think when you were fairly new here, where the department heads got to come and really strut their stuff talk about what they did. I don't know whether it was necessarily associated with the budget. It was just more, this is what we're doing, this is why we believe in it. And I walked away from that feeling like, wow, that was an amazing experience. And I'm wondering if there's any appetite to do another session like that, because I think it's really helpful for stuff that is largely invisible to the public to be made visible. And I think it creates a much greater kind of civic appreciation.
I feel like the budget session was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also
in the
did,
civic center.
I also did some just interviews with department heads, and I think maybe that might be one thing that you're talking about that we did that I think was
It was an
appreciated.
event at the FACC.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, that must have been budget then.
Yeah.
It was a budget.
It was, and I don't recall that it was necessarily around the budget. It was around what do we do and why is it important and why do we believe in it and why are we so into it and all that. It was just a very solid thing to do from
We did that with the police chief at the Arts and Convention Center.
Yeah, but this was all, if I'm
All
not
department heads.
misremembering,
Yeah,
this is
okay.
all the department.
That's what we're talking about. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I
one.
think
That
that
was
would
the
be
budget
related to
meeting.
budget.
Was that that?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
But I think it is a good, not only that, I think it's another opportunity, like you say, to be transparent, but I think it's, it's timely that we could do some interviews again with each department head and, new things are happening in each department, and so we should do that as well for this year, 2026.
How long was that meeting, the budget meeting?
I think we did it in, 3-4 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We started at like 8 o'clock and we were done before noon.
That's what I recall.
Dispatch spoke, and like every department came and kind
Yeah.
of did a presentation, and then we got to ask some questions. And
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's helpful. I agree.
Okay. All righty. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Toohill.
Second.
Second by Esti. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.